What up, y'all? Today's episode is brought to you by RV Fix. Let's walk through a quick scenario. You're on your RV trip that you've been planning for months and bam, something goes wrong. Slide won't move, fridge quits, the power's out. Now, instead of cracking open a cold one, it's fixing time. Total buzzkill, right? That's where RV Fix comes in. Call 1-844-66-RV-FIX and get connected via video call with a master RV technician. No middlemen, no dealership runaround, just real help, fast. And over 40% of these issues are fixed on the first phone call. If it's more serious, we've got you. We'll order parts and get warranty approval within hours, not weeks. Then we can either ship the parts to you and walk you through the fix on a second video call, send a mobile tech from our 2,000 plus tech network, or have you drop it off at the dealership once everything's ready to roll. And even better, you get to keep your rig during this whole process. No more waiting 4 to 6 weeks for basic repairs. With RV Fix, most shop fixes are done in just 3 days. Skip the stress, call RV Fix, and get back to camping, relaxing, and making memories. Use promo code RVVoice at checkout to get a 60% discount and lock in your price for years to come. Learn more at rvfix.com. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Alrighty. Hola, welcome, whatever it may be. What's the other one? Aloha. I heard that today. One of my friends said hi. But anyway, I'm talking to some younger folks today. I don't think they're my youngest. I think Mac on the Road might have been my youngest. Him and Jack and Morgan, Mac on the Road. That's another one. But these two started about 2 years ago, and they're in a 22-foot travel trailer, a Murphy bed travel trailer. This is my first Murphy bed full-timer that I'm talking to. You might know them as the Nomadic Sweethearts, but this is Storm and Dalton. We'll get a welcome in here and thank them for being here. So thank you for being here, you two. It's going to be interesting to hear you guys' story because you're doing it different. You're not in a fifth wheel. You're not in a motorhome. You're in a 22-foot travel trailer with a Murphy bed because of storage, because you said right before this. But let's kind of hop into it, guys. Oh, crap. You're from Canada, too. This is my first Canadian. Yay. That's exciting. I need to make it up there. I'm getting mad at myself for not actually checking out like all of our national parks and then making it up like the Alcan Highway. I got buddies up in Alaska. I need to go see them. Eventually I'll get there. But anyway, guys, I'm going to let you guys take the ropes here. Personal journey, right? Can you talk about your little backgrounds, like where you guys came from? You guys said from Canada, but what inspired you guys to transition into the full-time life? Because it's a big step, and then it was a big step into a tiny space. So, guys, take it away.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was an interesting one. I think it's very similar to a lot of other people's journeys into this space, just from what we've heard of, like, it was because of COVID. And that was kind of the thing. Like, when COVID hit, we were in Canada, we were in Ontario, where they had, like, these crazy strict lockdowns where, like, you were not allowed to go outside. And it was negative 30 Celsius. I don't know what that is, Fahrenheit. Cold. Really cold. And we had dogs, so we had to walk them multiple times a day, right? And at one point, the government had said, like, you are only allowed to be outside to walk your dogs, and that's it. So, like, at that point, we're like, this is getting ridiculous. We can't see our friends. We hate the cold. Like, we run away from winter at this point. So that was kind of what motivated us to start traveling in the first place. And we decided to go out west because the western side of Canada is a little bit more mild during the winter. In Vancouver Island, it rains mostly instead of snow. So we decided to head out there. We upgraded our vehicle to an SUV, packed everything we owned into it, sold a lot of other stuff, and drove across the country and spent winter out there. And then we kind of fell in love with it. We were living in Airbnbs, and we were just kind of hopping around the Airbnbs, and we'd stay for like a month, and we'd get like a nice, sweet monthly discount, and then we'd move on to the next place. And eventually, Airbnbs got more and more expensive, I think because people started doing it as well. And at that point, it was Storm's idea to buy a travel trailer because, you know, once you own the travel trailer, it's yours. It gives you that sense of like your home as well. Because a big thing that we missed about living in the Airbnbs was the fact that nothing in the place was our own. You're sleeping in someone else's bed, like you're using someone else's stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from, and it was your idea.
Yeah, we travel with our dogs, so we we wanted to go abroad. We were going to go to Germany, and we did. We lived in St. Lucia, which is a Caribbean island. We lived there for a couple of months and left our dogs behind. And when that was great and we loved it. But when we came back from that, we were like, well, we want something that's a little bit more homey, but we don't want to give up moving, and we don't want to have to, we're not giving up our dogs, and it's a pain to fly them. So, travel trailer just fit the most, checked the most boxes, and now we've been traveling around Canada and the US for almost 2 years.
So you guys cross borders. Do you have dual citizenship by chance, or are you just still Canadian and then?
No, we're just Canadian, but we're allowed in the States with no visa for a certain amount of days. It's like almost 6 months per year. We're allowed in America with no visa. So we don't have to do anything. We just cross the border, which is nice.
So you guys head south winter months.
Yeah, so we usually come in November, and then we stay in wherever. Like we were in California last year. This year we're in Florida. And then we're crossing back over.
Woo! That's a trip. That's a long ways down there.
Yeah.
All the way down to Florida.
It only took us 3 days to get here.
Yeah, to do the Florida trip, it was great.
Close.
But on our first trip, when we bought the trailer, we were like, we did not hold back. We drove all the way across Canada and then down to California. We went all the way down to San Diego, and then we went across all the way to New Orleans, and then went back up through Nashville, Tennessee, and kind of sprinted home from there. So
we've covered a lot of ground already.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy trip.
Yeah.
Well, with the travel trailer, I guess you guys sound like you're minimalist folks, right? You guys can't really break down what you have. You chose your RV for storage reasons, but it's a little easier to get up and go and probably tow a little further than towing a 44-foot fifth wheel, versus a 26-foot total, tip to tail travel trailer.
It's nice and easy to move around, which is, again, the reason we wanted to stay small. We didn't want to be restricted of where we could go. Like a lot of the state parks in America, the spots are really small, and we wanted to be able to boondock if we wanted to, which we haven't done yet, but we probably will sometime this year. But yeah, we just didn't want to be restricted by having a huge unit. So.
Oh, that's awesome. You guys said you lived in St. Lucia for a little while. I had a buddy who went down there for his honeymoon and came back, and about 3 weeks later almost died because he got bit by some bug down there, like a mosquito or something. They really couldn't track it, but he went down there and came back, and he literally was on his deathbed. It was bad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know that I got bit by a mosquito while we were there, and I had this huge blister, this big, the biggest blister I've ever had. And I was like, I don't want to go to the hospital in a foreign country, so I just left it and died. So I left it.
Oh goodness. Well, I'm glad that didn't turn out the same way for you. Just a big bad blister.
Beautiful. I don't know what weird bug, but yeah, we lived there for 3 months, and it's a beautiful country.
Yeah. So you kind of got inspired by the COVID kick, right? That was the whole, that's a lot of the full-time RV life. That's kind of where it came. I'm not saying where it came from, because there was obviously full-timers back in the 80s, 70s, whoever, but it's done nothing but grow and spiked heavily during 2020 and 21. But why did you guys choose travel trailer versus van life? That's kind of a question for you. I want to know.
One of the biggest things is we really didn't want our bathroom to be in our shower. We looked at a lot of different vans, and because they're so small, the toilet was in where the shower was, and we did not want that. We also just really couldn't picture, even though we don't have a lot of things, we still could not picture fitting the things we have in a van. And then our 2 dogs, we have a German Shepherd, so that would take up literally the entire floor in a van.
He takes up the entire floor in our trailer too.
He does.
Always seems to be in the way, doesn't he?
He's worth it, but yeah, we just van, we love the idea and what you see online for van life, but thinking about it practically, it did not make sense for us. We couldn't go that small.
Yeah, and another thing too is like we were really into going to the gym. So when we lived in the Airbnbs, every time we would get to a new place, we'd sign up for the local gym, and we would go there like 3, 4, 5 days a week. And we're like, if we live in a van, like the dogs have to be in the van while we're parked in a parking lot going to a gym. And sometimes those parking lots, like you're going to like the local gym, it could be anywhere, like downtown. And it's like, I don't really want to lock them up in the parking lot. And then you kind of have to worry about all of your stuff. Everything you own is in one vehicle, and it's now like downtown of some random town.
Or like on a hike, because we do a lot of hiking when we're in Canada, or like even in America in the national parks. Like hiking is our other biggest hobby, and they always say that those parking lots get broken into all the time, people's vehicles, and we're like, we don't want our computers and all of our things to be in an unsecured area. So
we really like the idea of just being able to detach from our home and then go wherever we want with like a little bit less worry.
Wow, I didn't know that. Good, that's good insight. I've never heard that, because I want the van life.
Yeah,
doesn't mean I'll get it. Yeah, I have an old van that I'm flipping right now just for fun. It's like more of a mobile ski shack, mobile like fishing shack type deal. Like it'd go for the weekend, not so much a live in for months, and that's not the goal with that thing. It's a 2000 GMC Safari. It's like an Astro van. It's tiny. I'm on my knees and I still can't stand up like on my knees, but I love it. It's cool. Interesting. That's kind of, I didn't really think about that people, that vans specifically probably get broke into more, but it makes sense. They're taking everything with them. So
yeah, just potential target. I don't know. We could just be paranoid too, but it was just one of those things where like, we just don't want to risk that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Now, like, especially even more so, which is in kind of almost a more eerie thought, is, like there's recently the national parks got like cut by like 60% or something, 70%. That means people aren't there. Yeah. That makes it even more worrisome for like someone like that. So
true.
Interesting. But anyway, you guys sound like you're a little bit more of a minimalistic lifestyle. How long did you do? You probably did that for about 2 years, the B&B hopping.
Yeah. I think it's about 2 years. We bumped around, like we did Canada, Florida, and then St. Lucia. So yeah, I think it's about 2 years.
Okay, so about 2 years. So how did you, I guess, prepare and plan to go to the full-time RV life? Because that's, you guys were kind of living on the road or living wanderlusty anyway, right? So you were traveling pretty minimal, with minimal everything, right? But how did you prepare to go into the full-time RV life, and how did you choose your first RV?
Now, the thing about living minimalist on the road with her was it was not minimal at all. We bought an SUV, like a full-sized SUV, and I'm telling you, this thing was packed full. And we bought the biggest roof rack you could possibly buy for the roof, and it was full. It was so full that the straps broke that were holding it closed. So we brought way too much stuff with us when we lived in the Airbnbs. And that was kind of an eye-opener for us, because we also had a lot of stuff that was in storage, like just in her parents' basement. And so at the time that we were like, we're going to move into an RV, like kind of thinking about the idea, we're like, we got to get rid of stuff in order to do that. But then we were also like, we don't use any of this stuff anyway. Like we brought things across Canada with us the first trip we took, and we lived in Vancouver for about 6 months. And we had vacuum sealed bags full of clothing that we never opened. It stayed vacuum sealed the entire time. So we were just kind of like, we brought too much stuff. We own too much stuff. Like if we do downsize, it's so easy just to say like all of this stuff is gone because we haven't used it in 6 months. So that made it really, really easy. Like just settled our minds about what space would be like how hard will that be? So that made it easy for like the stuff, but the other stuff was really, we'd never towed before. We didn't even I'd never driven a truck before. And an SUV is big, but trucks are bigger. There's more maintenance involved with driving the truck and owning the trailer and all of that kind of stuff. So that's where it was really daunting, was I literally hadn't towed anything before. I'd seen people tow stuff, but I'm terrified. So we were we kind of have to learn that first. So I think I spent about 1,000 hours watching like YouTube videos of like, how do you tow? What is a trailer? What's the difference between a trailer and a fifth wheel? And like, what are the differences there? Why do you versus the other?
Wow.
Like, I just watched so many hours of YouTube of like how to do all that kind of stuff. How do you hook up a trailer? What's a weight distribution hitch? Do I need one? Like the amount of math and calculations I was doing before we went to the dealerships to even shop for trucks, like it was wild. And then I think Storm was really in charge of all of the research for like what we wanted the layouts to be or what we wanted in the trailer and stuff like that. And that's kind of how we narrowed it down.
And also just going to the dealership. Like we went to, I think, 10 different trailer dealerships, and we walked through every single one that they had, and we're like, we hate that. We hate that. Why is this a blank wall when there could be like a cupboard there? So it was really just looking at a gazillion trailers and then picking the one that worked the best. I mean, no trailer layout is perfect, but you just have to pick the one that gets you the closest.
Yeah, so when you were doing that, because that's a good way, like, you know, going to RV shows, going and talking to people at the dealerships, visiting the dealerships. One, you probably got hounded a couple times, right? I mean, that's just how it is. That's how they make their money. I did that. I was there. I hated it. If they were walking around the lot, I'm like, no offense, worst people to try to sell to. Like, no, like the sale ratio on those is very low. So I'm like, you know what? Just leave them be. You know, if they need something, they'll walk in.
Yeah, for sure. I think like an important lesson that we learned when we were shopping is never to trust the dealer, because when we started shopping, our SUV had a towing package on it. It said that we could tow 5,000 pounds. So we were like, okay, we're just going to get a trailer that's within that limit so that we don't have to upgrade to a truck, because we really liked our SUV. We didn't want to upgrade if we didn't have to. And 2 of the dealerships that we went to tried to sell us a trailer that was 5,000 pounds empty.
Yeah.
And was like, oh yeah, you'll be fine. Like, this one's within your towing capacity. And that was when we just Dalton just started doing the research. We just started shopping, and we were like, I don't think that's true. We need to break and like do more research. So then when we did more research and we found out, okay, yes, our SUV can tow, but that doesn't mean you should tow with it. So we need to get rid of that. We definitely need a truck, and like we need to do our own research first and not trust what the salesperson is trying to tell us. Like, they might know information about the trailer, but you can't trust them with the safety of actually towing.
And we had some, like, I had asked one of the salespeople that we were with, like, oh, like, what do you tow? And they're like, oh, I don't tow.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, maybe not the person that I want to be asking towing questions to if you don't tow. But like, aside from that too, there's a few things that like the one dealer told us we were like right at our limit, and they're like, oh, you just need a weight distribution hitch, it's fine. And we're like, oh, okay, like that sounds right. But then you go home, and even right in the manual of our vehicle, it said if you go up above certain altitudes, you drop in how much you can tow because the oxygen ratio is different. So I'm like, okay, well, we're planning to go to the Canadian Rockies. Like, that's a high altitude. Like, our towing capacity is going to go down by how much? And it's like, at that point, with the 2 of us as passengers, we got the 2 dogs in the back seats, a ton of cargo in the car. Like, our towing capacity drops down to like 3,200 pounds. It's like, that's not even anywhere close to like towing something. Like, so yeah, it was an interesting journey.
Yeah, we just never wanted to be worried about it. So we were like, we have to upgrade to a truck. It's the only way. So
I would never recommend towing with an SUV. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Well, that's super, super commendable for you guys doing your own research, because not a lot of people, a lot of people distrust, right? It's a lot, a lot of those guys, speaking from my own experience, is, I didn't know a whole lot about towing. Now, I towed growing up. I grew up on a farm. I did all the stuff, big equipment. But I also grew up in an area of my truck can tow it. And this is not true. And I had customers like that, and I'm like, my truck can tow it. I'm like, no, legally, I can't let you go. Like, I can't even sell this to you because your truck's not able, right?
Our family is like that.
So that's...
They're like, oh, your truck,
well, we're all over.
A huge trail. And we were like, no, that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. So question for you guys, because you said you poked your head in thousands of RVs or a couple hundred, whatever it may be. How did you keep it all straight? Because what happens is you go into one, you're like, oh, that's cool, leave it, and you forget that what it is, because you're stepping into a whole new world. It's not like houses. You go look at maybe 3 houses on a weekend, right? No, you can look at 3 in 3 minutes of an RV, so you can go through hundreds of them in a day. So how did you guys keep that straight to kind of narrow it down to what you ended up with?
We wrote it down we went into a trailer. We wrote, if we liked anything about it, we would write like, this is the year, make, and model of the trailer, and this is what we liked about it. This is what we didn't like about it. So then at the end, we had this huge spreadsheet, and then we kept forgetting like, oh, this one had the good sink, or this one had the good that, and then we had to keep looking them up online to like double check that what we wrote was true. But I mean, at the end of the day, there were so many bad designs, or like they were so heavy. Like Winnebago specifically was so heavy for no reason. Like, why does this one weigh as much as something that should be like 30 feet? Like, we didn't understand. So honestly, just having a very intense notebook, and then thinking like, we went into like our trailer's grand design. So we went into a lot of grand designs, and we liked how they did it the best. Like, we found that they maximized the most amount of space, and it wasn't dark. Like, we went into a lot of trailers, and all of the stuff on the inside was so dark, or it didn't have enough windows. We're like,
yeah, that was like, there was a few very basic things that we just immediately said no. Like, if the counters were like a dark brown or like a black, it didn't really matter what the rest of the layout was, because we thought like, we're going to be living in this thing. And sometimes like, yeah, they have windows and whatnot, but like sometimes it's cloudy, and it's just depressing if you're inside this like very dark room. So like, as soon as we'd walk into a trailer, if it was like a black countertop, you'd be like, nope, immediate no, move on to the next trailer. So that just kind of helped speed up the process.
Yeah, we started getting pretty quick at it. Like, you just poke your head in and go, no, because like, we wanted a booth, and a lot of them had recliner chairs, and we were like, we don't want recliner chairs. So if you just look inside and you see that, you're like, okay, well, immediate no. But then like, you also have to do like a little bit of research on top of that, because we saw our trailer at the dealership, and it had recliner chairs where the booth is. But then when I looked on their website, I saw that they had this trailer as well with the booth model. So I think like, if you really like a trailer, look online, because they might have like, you can swap things out sometimes, just depending on the brand, I guess. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure multiple brands do that, but you can get recliner chairs, a couch, a booth, like that's a pretty easy one.
Yeah, different options for sure. Grand Design is also really good about, like you said, lighting, keeping it lit. They use LEDs. They started to do LED stripping around the corners, like 23 or 24. I don't remember. I've been off the lot for quite some time. But they also do crazy sweet layouts. You have an XLS, but the Aims, which are like the step under size wise, blew my mind. I was walking through I went to open house in Indiana, and it was one of the coolest. I mean, I was like, I could just look at these all day. They make so much sense. There's so much room in a tiny amount of space, but they're still pretty expensive for a small trailer. But Grand Design's done a great job. They've been around for over a decade. I think 2002, maybe. I don't remember. I talked to them about that too, but very cool. And then on the towing side of things, good for you guys looking up on all that. But there's a video that I did with 2 experts within the RV industry, Josh the RV nerd and JD from Big Truck Big RV. So if you have anybody that asks about that, show them that, because those guys know their stuff. I felt like a fool in that conversation. I was just mediating it.
No, so
it's a lot.
Very and like, anytime we post, like, we post a lot more RV related things on our Facebook page, and anytime we post anything about specifically towing, there's like, it blows up, and we get a lot of hate usually, because it's Facebook. But there's just like an insane divide in people saying either you need the weight distribution hitch or you don't and you're stupid, or why are you even towing a trailer? Like, it just goes crazy. So there's a lot of information on the internet, which makes it even more confusing.
A lot of it is like kind of what you said, like my dad taught me, or like I've been towing my whole life, and like that's the way, you know, like you learned how to tow when you were 12 years old on the farm, like you're towing your dad's stuff, and you think you know that, and like that's the way it is, or like whatever, and it's worked for you. Like you've never had your trailer fall off the back of the truck, so like then, but it's weird because you didn't learn it properly or whatever. Like maybe just take the opinions on the internet. But yeah, there's a lot of people on my comments that come in and be like, why are you crossing your chains? That's so stupid. I've never crossed my chains. And it's like, okay, but you're supposed to. Like, just because you don't, I don't know. It goes on, and but there's a lot to learn.
Keyboard warriors, they're out there. Weight distribution hitch, do you guys use one?
We actually just got ourselves one. We went to a cat scale 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we're now like we're 150 pounds under our truck's GVWR. So we're like, oh, okay, like it's time to get that weight distribution hitch. We're pulling, we're like lifting 200 pounds off the front axle. So we're like, all right, like maybe we should get that hitch and like distribute that weight back. So we actually just got one, and we towed with it for the first time for like an actual long tow. It was like about 2 hours with it the other day, and it was nice. It was pretty smooth.
We can't say for sure if we like it or not yet because we got it from a brand that didn't pay us, and we might be working with a different brand, so we don't know. Not yet.
That's funny.
It was honestly hard to set up, so I don't know if we'll keep this one because it was our truck has
a bit of a pain.
Like our truck was a demo, so it has like a lot of upgrades that we would never have gotten, but it like has air suspension, so it lifts itself up and down all the time, and that might be a pain for this weight distribution hitch.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
Yeah, I could probably be kind of conflicting a little bit. It's more than just weight distribution, too. It's also sway control, which is a big part of it. You know, a shorter trailer that usually has a little more sway or ability to sway. So it's a good thing that you do have one, whether it's the right one for you or not. It's out of my hands. But I'm glad you do have one because it is a safety concern in several different ways. So advice for giving, like, you know, someone selecting their first RV is basically everything that you said. Go check it out. Go, you know, make a spreadsheet, make a notebook and take notes and take pictures of which ones you like, which ones you don't like. Do your research online. You guys kind of nailed it. You guys are, you know, almost test dummied yourselves, right? And then you're like, okay, well, I figured it out.
Like we like to do a lot of research before we make decisions, but we actually just created a YouTube video about it, about how to select your first trailer, where we actually go to Camping World and we tell you exactly what to look for. So that'll be live probably next week because you have to edit it, but we walk through a bunch of trailers, tell you exactly what we would look for, what to not look for, tips and all of those things, basically to help people select, because we tried to find those exact videos when we were finding our first trailer and we couldn't find anything other than those people that go into a trailer really quickly and like run around and they don't say anything. Those are the only things we could find, and we were like,
and those are always luxury.
Yes,
you're always like blown away, and it's like, oh, it's $100,000 trailer. You're like, no wonder it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's always those. Where are like, people talking, like not a salesman, people talking about real life living in them? Like that doesn't exist. So we wanted to create that. So we basically went and relived our experience of picking a trailer. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is not to rush into it, especially if you're living in it, because you wouldn't rush into a house purchase, and trailers cost a small fortune. So don't rush into it.
That's a good point. I mean, they're not, I mean, there's a misconception of like, this is a cheap way of living, right? Well, no, you're still getting a payment, 10 years to 10 years to 15 years on a $30,000 note, depending. You can maybe stretch it a little more, but you're still paying for it, depending how much you put down. And then you got to pay for parks, pay for stays, pay for gas. Your gas bill goes up because it's towing. You know, you're losing 25 to 40% of your gas mileage because of it, you know? So there's a lot of things to think of. But since you guys kind of live the, you know, the, I guess, minimalistic lifestyle, this was a semi easier transition, but there still came with a different, you know, a typical day in the life looks a little different than it did before. Right. So kind of walk us through that, and then we'll talk about challenges and solutions behind that.
I mean, our day in the life is pretty boring, honestly, because we still work full-time jobs. So I think that's kind of the misconception too, because obviously we post on our Instagram all the places that we're going, but we're still doing, like, we work remote. So we're still doing all of those things after working on weekends. Like, we work 8 to 4 Monday to Friday. So it's just sitting in the booth working on our regular jobs while we're trying to get our social media business off the ground. And then after work, we go and explore the area that we're in. So we try to stay in one spot for like a week to 2 weeks so that we can actually explore the area. But yeah, day to day is honestly just pretty boring.
Yeah, I think there's two things that like kind of go into that. Is like for us with the day to day, when we told people we were going to move into an RV, a lot of people were like, "You're crazy." And then we started looking at them and we're showing some of our family about like, "Oh, this is the working space. Like, here's the booth." And they're like, "You're going to sit next to each other in a booth for 8 hours a day and work. You're like literally 16 inches away from each other. Our laptop screens touch each other as we work." Yeah. So it's like they just thought we were absolutely insane. And we were kind of like, it's the same, because when we lived in the Airbnbs and we were moving around, a lot of the places didn't have proper desk setups, let alone having 2 different working spaces. So a lot of times we'd sit at the kitchen table and we'd be working. So we're like right next to each other. And she takes phone calls for work all day. So it's like, that definitely adds to the weirdness. But we had already practiced that. So that was like the number one hurdle that people were like, there's no way you can do this because you're going to have to do that. Normal people in different situations would have to figure a way around that. Like if you are thinking of moving into an RV with your significant other and you're still working jobs, you got to figure something out with that. You either have to be okay with what we're doing, or you have to get an RV that has like a separated space, like have a bedroom that has a door, like something like that. So that's definitely one like major thing to keep in mind. And then the other part of it was just thinking about the mundane tasks like day to day. Like I think before moving into a trailer, you don't really think twice about how much water you're using. But in an RV, you kind of have to keep that in mind. Like if we're ever not connected to sewer, which a lot of state parks, you don't have sewer, you can't be running the water for like 5 minutes while you wash your hands or brush your teeth or something. So you kind of just have to figure out whether or not you're going to be okay with that, like logistical question. Like if you don't think you're the type of person that will be able to handle that extra like stress, I guess it would be, because trust me, we've done it. We've filled our gray tank and had to hook up, drive to the dump station, dump, come all the way back, and then repark. Like it sucks, and you don't want to do
it. Yeah. Yeah, and you're in a shorter trailer, so your capacities are probably a lot smaller than like a big fifth wheel, right? Granted, they're probably like 3 to 4 people deep, if not 6, because I've talked to those too. So yeah, you got to be, I guess, more mindful of those things. So yeah, what about like? So I'm guessing you guys do laundromats. You guys got pretty familiar with them?
Actually, no, we've only used one once. And it wasn't even a laundromat. It was the one that was at the campground.
Years ago, we lived at it was student housing for the university I was attending, and they had a laundromat on site, and it was like dirt cheap. And we would go there all the time, and we were really into influencer like gym clothing, so we would buy like, Gymshark and stuff like that. And it's expensive gym clothing. And we took that stuff to the laundromat, and one time we washed our clothes and a whole bunch of our clothes got bleached, and we were just horrified. So basically from that moment forward, we vowed like we will never go to a laundromat ever again. So during our first year out on the road, we actually had a mini washing machine.
It wasn't that many though.
It was a lot bigger than Amazon said it was going to be.
Yeah.
But it was like a small washing machine that was meant for like an apartment.
Which was great, to be fair.
It was pretty awesome.
You just plugged it in, but because like we don't have a lot of space, so we would have to do the laundry like with this machine in our shower, which was okay, but then it took up like half of our truck bed when it wasn't being used.
Yeah.
It was like quite big.
It weighed like 12 pounds though, which was kind of nice.
It was great. Like it did wash very well, and it had like a spinner to get all the water out. And that was great. We used it for like a full year and we loved it. But then we ran out of space basically in our truck because we wanted to buy a generator so that we could be off grid. So we bought a generator, and then we didn't have enough room, so we had to sacrifice it. But we still didn't go to the laundromat. We were gifted a Scrubba wash bag, so it's like the size of a dry bag, and you do your laundry in that, and we use that exclusively.
Yeah.
How does that work? In the sink?
So
in
it's
the
like
shower?
a little bag. It's like a little bag like this, and it has like
yeah.
You fill it up with water and some soap, and you hand wash your clothes basically, and then you have to wring it all out and you hang them up outside. It's a little bit time consuming.
Yeah.
But our clothes don't get ruined, and we don't have to pay any money to wash them. So it works. You just have to stay on top of it.
It's kind of the perfect solution for off-grid living. Like if you were camping for 3-4 days and you wanted to do your laundry like mid-trip, it's kind of the perfect solution for that because it like folds up really small and stuff like that. Yeah. Or if you're on a trip, like you're backpacking somewhere, like absolute perfect solution for that. And that's kind of what attracted us to it, is like we want to do a lot more boondocking, and we're planning, like currently we're on a trip from the southernmost point of the continental USA all the way to the Arctic Circle. So we're like on that trip now, and as we get further and further north, we're going to do more and more boondocking because there's nowhere to camp. So we're planning to do that, but the Scrubba was just like the perfect way to be able to do our laundry off grid, because all you need is some water, which you could get water like we've done it with river water and stuff, and that's fine. You just get some water, you scrub it hand, and then the crappy part about it is that we wash like thick track pants or something, and trying to get the water out of the track pants afterwards is brutal. Like you just have to squeeze it out for like half an hour and then leave it in the sun for like a full day.
You have to be very intentional. Like if it's not going to be sunny out, then you can't do it, which I admit that it's not the perfect solution, but I don't want to have any more of my clothes ruined. So it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But it is a solution. Right. You don't want to go to the laundromat and sit there and bleach your clothes or whatever. I mean, it makes total sense to me. I remember you said university, college. I bet, they had like in the basement, it was like ours. You still paid 25, 50 cents, whatever it may be. I ended up with more clothes in my dryer than I needed to, and I would go there and take them out. I'm like, well, that's not mine. I was like, that is definitely not mine. But it happens. So, I luckily didn't have, the problem with, I guess the bleaching thing. That would kind of torque me off a little bit. But yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. So how do you guys handle like maintenance and repairs on the on the road? Are you handy? Do you stop by places, or you just figure it out as you
go? For sure.
So we have always been. I grew up in a family where it was like either learn how to fix it yourself or make enough money to pay someone to fix it, right? And that's always kind of been the mindset. And then I went to university. None of my family has been to university. They all went kind of trade route. And I was like, I want book smart route kind of thing. So I got to a point where I was like terrified to fix things. I know how to do the brakes on my car. And like, that's pretty much it. I think I could get by doing it, but that's it. So when it came to the trailer, we were like, we want to get something that's minimal maintenance. So we went with brand new. And that's not a good thing to think about, because we have had to fix more stuff in this trailer than I ever thought I would, because it was new. Why should you have to fix anything?
Yeah, we thought brand new equals no fixing, but we didn't know that no matter what brand it is, it's going to be Brinkley, it's going to be Forest River, it's going to be literally all of them. They're all built like crap, no matter what anybody will tell you.
Well, and it's also, you're driving on the road.
It's a big statement.
Yeah. So we were like, we just weren't prepared. But then things have broken. And we fixed them. So far so good. I think like just having a little kit, I guess, like of basic tools, and then being okay with having to go to the store and buy the stuff that you don't have.
Yeah, I think the big thing was like, I did in the research that I was doing before we did this, like I said, I did thousands of hours of YouTube, and a lot of people said like, get this toolkit, get this, get that, buy this, have an electrical kit, be able to cut your own wire and splicing and like this, that, and the other thing. And at a certain point, I had a shopping list on Amazon that was like $2,000 or $3,000 worth of tools, and I was like, if I buy all of these tools, my entire truck bed is just going to be full of tools. Like, I'm not going to be able to fit anything else. So at a certain point, you just kind of have to pick and choose the necessities and then go from there. And like, if at some point down the road, an electrical issue comes up and you need to run to the store and get yourself a splicing kit, then like go as it goes, you know, like figure it out at that time. But there are some things you should probably have. Like you want to have like a torque wrench, the stuff to take care of the tires, maybe practice taking a tire off for like on the side of the road problems, that sort of thing. And like I said, either learn how to fix it yourself or have enough money saved up to pay to get it fixed. We broke our awning because we were dumb and we left it out during the rain. So the awning broke. And as soon as it broke, I kind of said to Storm, like, uh-oh, look up a maintenance guy nearby to like find out how much it's going to cost to get this thing fixed. Because it was broken to the point where we couldn't go down the road with, like, we couldn't put the awning back in. It was stuck out. So she looked it up, and it was like a lot of money. So we were like, well, let's.
Turns out if they travel to you, it's even more expensive. So
yeah,
we figured out. We fixed it, so I guess that's good news.
Yeah, definitely good on you guys. I mean, it's kind of a learn as you go, right? I mean, if you're doing this lifestyle for the minimalist idea, but also just, see the things, right? But it does cost money. So like when you're also, you're saving money, but stuff happens, right? You got to be ready for those things. Now you either learn how to do it yourself or pay for it. But the fact that you are willing to learn to do it yourselves goes a long ways as well. Because a lot of people, there's just like, well, they just have enough money, they're full time and they just pay for it. Right. I wouldn't be one of those people.
We're like, we could pay you, but let's attempt first, see where it goes, and then we'll reassess. Thankfully, like the awning was the biggest thing that broke, and it was our own fault. So we were like, well, at least attempt. And I mean, it took like a couple hours, and we used a tree to fix it, but it worked. So.
Good on you. Oh, shoot. Very nice. So you guys do not have kids, so I'm not going to ask you about homeschooling. Is that cool? Cool. But since you guys are, I guess it sounds like you guys are more into fitness. So how do you guys handle fitness on the road? Because you're in places where there is no gyms, right? I'm guessing a lot of people that go, I know that a lot of people have like Planet Fitness because that's like the big one right now. I know 24-hour fitness is another big one. Anytime Fitness is another big one. So how do you guys go about staying fit on the road and just getting your workout and exercise in besides hiking?
Yeah, we were just signing up like for the first year and a bit. We were just signing up with whatever local gym in our area because like almost every town has a local gym. But then it became too much of a pain because some of them wouldn't have like a week pass, or they would require literally all of our information, which we didn't want to give out all the time. Like, why do you have to know where we live in Canada to work out here for a week? Like we just figured at some point our identities were going to get hacked if we kept giving out all of our information to lift weights for 2 days. So we were like, okay. I guess like let's figure something else out. So we do have an Anytime Fitness membership now, and that's great. Almost every town has an Anytime Fitness. When there's not one, we just try to hike more often, but we are trying to get, we follow another person on Instagram who travels with a portable squat rack. So we're trying to get one of those because that would be the most handy thing. And then we would just cancel our Anytime Fitness membership and we would exclusively use that.
Yeah, so the deal is, if we can land a brand deal with a portable squat rack and get some weights, Storm has to give up a bunch of her clothes so that we can get weight capacity back in the truck so we can put all that stuff in there. And then we have a portable gym.
Portable squat rack. I mean, that's got to be, I mean, how much weight? I mean, because you need what? At least 200 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been going to the gym for a long time, so we probably need quite a bit of weight. But
yeah, that's the problem.
we would have to do it like, it's just going to have to be the bare minimum. Like,
we looked into getting like just adjustable dumbbells and like starting with that.
Yeah.
We have like adjustable dumbbells that go up to like 35 pounds, 55 pounds, and then like I think 90 pounds or something like that. But even that, like,
we just won't use them as much as the squat rack, I think.
Yeah,
the squat rack is more ideal. That's most of our workouts when we do go to the gym. So
yeah,
I think that's going to be the solution, which we will get at some point.
And I think if we end up getting that, honestly, we're just going to upgrade the truck. Like, we're going to have to.
Upgrading our truck as well, just because now we're like, we also want to get a full solar setup. So like between the squat rack and a solar setup, we're just too close to our limits. So we're probably going to upgrade our truck once we actually get these things. We're not going to upgrade it now when we don't need to. But just a thought. Like, they always say that you grow into your space. So we're trying to keep our trailer space and make the most out of our truck space.
Yeah.
That's tough. I mean, does it come with like a full Olympic bar, 45 pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually it does, yeah.
Those are not easy to fit anywhere. They're not short. You know, when you stand one up, you're like, dang, this thing's kind of long. It's not going to fit in a regular truck bed.
Yeah, I think if you get the 35-pound one, it's a little bit shorter. We've just started looking into them now, basically, like last week. So
we'll have to find a slightly shorter bar to make sure that it'll fit in the back of the truck. But even if we have to put it on an angle, that's all right. As long as it's worth it. And then we cancel the Anytime Fitness membership and we get our money back. Or we save some money, I guess.
And you save time because then you don't have to drive to the gym.
Just so you save money on money, because you'll pay for itself. Portable rack, say $400. You're paying what, probably $50 a month for Anytime Fitness, maybe $30.
60 Canadian.
60 something, yeah.
60 Canadian, so like 45.
So you'll pay for that self shortly, and then not driving all the time to the gym. Oh yeah,
and just everywhere that
money saved, money earned.
Yeah, everywhere that we're going after, like as soon as we leave Florida, nowhere else for almost the entire year is going to have a gym.
Yeah,
we're going to the middle of nowhere, so it would be nice to get one of those sooner rather than later.
And I just think it'll be super cool to like hit squats like in the Arctic Circle. You know, like how cool would that be? Like hit a
drone shot going around,
right? Like, wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, just blowing sideways, it's snowing. You know, just doing some squats. Oh shoot, yeah. All right. Well, so financially, you guys say you're working side by side for, you know, you still run a full-time job. But how do you sustain this lifestyle financially? So what do you guys do? And then are there any specific tips you can offer for earning an income while on the road?
Yeah, I mean, we want to build this into a social media thing. You know, we've been posting on Instagram for over 2 years, and we started really posting because we went into this lifestyle and we see so many people like successfully posting on Instagram, living the van life mostly.
Yeah.
But there's tons of RV lifers as well. And so we were like, hey, let's do that too. And so that's kind of snowballed this effect of like, that's what we want to get into full time. We'd like to eventually, but for the meantime, we do still have our like 9-to-5 corporate jobs. I think that there's a huge misconception that people think that living in an RV is like a really cheap way to live. And I honestly think that it can go any way you want it to go. It can be a very cheap way to live. Like if you stay long term at certain places, they'll give you fat discounts. We stayed at a month for many of our stays because they gave you a huge monthly discount. And that was a great way for us to save money during our first year to help pay for all the upstart costs, like all the things we had to buy just to get into this life. However, on the other end of the spectrum, if you want to go to like RV resorts and have pools and hot tubs and pickleball all the time, like those are going to be a little bit more pricey. If that's what you want, that's fine. If you want full hookups all the time to never have to worry about the water or anything like that, then like you're going to pay a little bit more. So I think that this is a huge spectrum. If you want it to be really cheap, there are a lot of things you can do to save money. And if you want it to be like the same or more than what it would be to live a traditional life and, you know, live in an apartment or pay a mortgage, then like it definitely can be that too. So
it is cheaper for us. Like we track all of our expenses because we wanted to know if it was cheaper than renting, and it is cheaper for us to live in an RV than it was for us to rent in Ontario by quite a lot.
A lot.
And we stay at a mix of places. Like we stay at RV parks or resorts where you do have all the amenities, or we'll stay in state parks where you get nothing, but they're really cheap. So it's like, it's really just balance. But I think if you wanted it to be cheap, the best way is just to stay long-term at places or try to get into the state parks because they're only like $24 a night, which in Florida is crazy because Florida's so expensive.
Very nice. So like, what about budgeting? So you said you do like, you know, you had what you had over here when you were in Ontario living the normal life, whatever that is, you know, and now you're the sticks and bricks. That's what they call it. Now you're in the trailer life. What budgeting advice would you kind of advise people that if they wanted to do this on a budget?
I would say staying long-term is probably the number one way to reduce your cost, not only because of the monthly discounts, but because of the gas.
Yeah.
If you're towing, the gas has easily been the most expensive thing that we've had in certain months where we've moved a lot. We spent like, I think it was 4 or 5 months in California last year. First of all, gas is very expensive in California, so you kind of have to factor that into your budget. But we moved a lot because we wanted to see a lot. So we moved around almost every week, and gas blew everything out of the water for cost. Like it was just so insanely high. So if you stay put for a little bit longer, or if you're gonna move slower and like don't move far distances, then stay a week, move a little bit more, or move a lot in places where gas is cheaper, like New Mexico or Texas or something like that. It helps a lot. The other big thing that is like an annoying large cost for us is internet. We can't go without it because of our jobs, but it just like, it's so expensive. And sometimes you're paying a lot of money and it sucks. You end up in an area where the internet is just bad. So then you're just frustrated. But
we use Starlink and it's like $200 a month. So it's very expensive. I think another big thing, like if people are just getting started and they want to save money, it's best to start in a smaller unit because the bigger the unit is, the more money it costs to tow it around. And some places like you are restricted, like at the state parks. If you have a 40-foot trailer, then you can't stay at all the state parks because the sites are a lot smaller. So you're not really saving any money there. And yeah, I think just not biting off more than you can chew. Like you don't need a new truck. You don't need a new trailer. And then another big one that we found is purchasing the things that you do need secondhand from Facebook Marketplace. Like we bought an EMS system that originally cost $300.
It was like over $300.
And we got it for $100. And the guy he stopped RVing. So it's in perfect shape. So like just people are selling used stuff constantly. So anything that you could possibly need, look online for a few months first and you can save money there.
Yeah, I think planning ahead, it really helps because we knew like we were buying all of this stuff. Like we were buying the truck, we were buying the trailer, and we weren't going out on the road until September, and we started purchasing stuff in June. So that gave us a really good head start for like all the research we had to do to feel confident in what we were doing, as well as like we picked up the trailer in June, and that gave us a lot of time to go through all of the storage and the cupboards and like customize it the way we wanted to and get things that fit where we want it to be and all of that kind of stuff. And then we basically had a huge list of stuff we wanted to buy just sitting in our shopping cart on like Walmart, Amazon, Costco, and we were just waiting to see it go on sale. And as soon as stuff went on sale, we just jumped on it and like bought it at that time. So then like you can slowly save money leading up to getting into it. So that's super helpful, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget that you
very nice
used, and like we remind our friends of that all the time because people are always like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." And like it also saves waste, because if people don't sell it, they're just going to throw it in the garbage. So it's nice to save stuff from going into the dump, and you can get a great deal.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Have you guys seen the Netflix documentary on Buy? It's called Buy Now.
No.
Oh, you should watch it. Talking about like waste and consumerism. Oh, it's bad. It's bad. It made me sick for like 2 weeks. Like,
Oh,
I'm still like more conscious about things, but like, because I'm one of those people. But like, it's pretty. Yeah. Watch it.
Yeah, we usually watch all.
Report back.
We just haven't had any time because social media has taken over our lives. But we'll make time for that one, because that's something that we would.
we do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
We'll hate it.
Oh, for sure. So, yeah, I want a full report back. You'll tell me. Anyway, so you guys are within the RV community. You guys are a younger couple, right? You guys 28, 29, you're under 30. Most people are, traveling with full families, or, or they're retired, whatever it may be. So there is young people. Have you met other people? But like, what's your community and connection look like? Have you found a sense of community within the RV world or not?
I think like we have our Instagram page, like, because we are trying to build our Instagram, we've been able to connect with a lot of people. But as far as like actual, we have only found one other young couple at an RV park, and we hung on to them for dear life. And we've now been friends for
Just over a year.
a year and a bit. Like,
It was ironic because we had met them in California, and then we ended up crossing paths. They were on their way east, and we were heading north, and they were like, "Hey, you're going through Tennessee. Are you happen to be anywhere near Nashville?" And we were like, "Yeah." And they're like, "We're going to cross through Nashville tomorrow." And we're like, "All right, like, let's meet up." So I think that's the beautiful thing about this is like, it can happen. There's a lot of people that we've talked to on Instagram that are like, telling us what their plan is for the rest of the year, so that we can have like, is our paths going to cross at any point throughout this whole year? Like, let's figure out how we can get together. So I think that a big tip to like get into the community is to put yourself out there, like join some of the Facebook groups, put your name out there, and just say like, we're a young couple, or like we're a single couple, or we have kids, or like whatever your situation is. And you're going to find people that are doing the same thing as you. And like, hopefully you're going to find people that are willing to meet up. And like, that's kind of the beauty of it.
It is tough because it seems like everybody who is young is doing van life. It's hard to find other people, and you can still make connections with van life people. But like, we have another couple who live in a van, and we were talking about going to Mexico together next year. And they were like, "Oh yeah, we can just drive onto the beach in Mexico." And we're like, I don't know if we can, because we're towing a trailer. Like, are we going to get stuck in the sand where we don't, like, their van is small, like, it's not the same. So while you can create a connection, it's not quite the same if you're trying to travel together, especially if you're wanting to go to Mexico, which I know is really neat. But so we have created a community. It would be nice to meet more people. We're always open to meeting more people. But yeah,
we do find that like majority of people at campgrounds, especially the state parks, are just super friendly. No matter what the age group is, like a lot of people will just chat your ear off, and it is interesting to be on the younger side doing this full time. When you run into anybody and it comes out that like, oh yeah, we live in our trailer full time, it's just like, what? Like you live in that thing all the time? Like, it's really interesting to have those conversations and like see what the other side lives like. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, everybody's really nice. It's just
very nice.
Creating that actual friendship can be tough, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I'm guessing they were talking about going down to Baja. Is that where you're talking? Well, I know people that take their fifth wheels out there, so you probably.
I joined a Facebook group actually, so we could find other people that have travel trailers, and they've been really helpful. So we might do that next year. We're back and forth about what we want to do. But.
Yeah. So do you guys do 1,000 trails at all, or are you just kind of like doing the state park, RV park budget route that way?
Yeah.
I know that 1,000 trails is mostly on the coasts. So it's like if you're not on the coast, like it's not really useful. But do you guys
we've heard a lot about it, but we don't. I don't think that we would benefit from that really, because we're kind of all over the place with where we want to go, what we want to do, and all of that. We mostly stay honestly, we stay in a range. Like we could stay at a state park for months, and then we could go and stay at an RV resort and it'd be fancy for months. Like we flip back and forth a lot with what we want. So yeah, I mean, maybe that would be beneficial in the future, but not right now.
Yeah, I think for us, like the biggest problem with signing up and like doing the membership and everything for Thousand Trails is we change our minds so often that like it might be worth it for like 3 months, but then all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, like now we want to go road trip in Eastern Canada where there's like no such thing as Thousand Trails.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is Thousand Trails is probably more things, and we can only spend so much time in America, so it probably wouldn't work out financially that way.
So what about like boondocking apps? I know there's like Harvest Hosts, Onyx Off Road is another one. There's several others. Do you guys utilize any of them?
We had a Harvest Host membership for a year, and it was good. We stayed at like 7 stays.
Yeah, something like that.
And they were all great. We really liked it. But what we didn't like about Harvest Host was because we still have to work full-time jobs, often our days on travel days are really long. Like it's normal for us to drive 11 hours in a day. So the last thing I want to do when I'm arriving somewhere is talk to the host and have to buy something from their store.
I don't want to talk
to anybody. I just want to go to sleep. So like we loved the idea, and on the days that we were able to, like we stayed at this one that's like the most memorable, where we stayed at an alpaca farm, and the guy was really nice, and like he gave us fresh eggs from his farm, and he showed us his antique car collection, and then we bought these alpaca socks for hiking, and so like that one was great, and we loved that, and we liked a few of the other ones, but the travel days are just too long to enjoy it really. Like I just feel exhausted at the end of the day, and sometimes there's not a lot of options for places to stay in the areas that we've gone. So you're really select on the places like the Harvest Host that's available. Sometimes you don't want to buy anything from their store. Like we stayed at one that was only wine because it was the only one available, and we don't even drink wine. So we were like, I guess just here's money because we don't want any wine. And it's just like that kind of awkward conversation. So I think Harvest Host is great, and if you slow travel, it's probably even better. But yeah, we use iOverlander for our boondocking mostly.
That was another one. Yep, that was the other one I was thinking of.
Yeah, iOverlander is nice because it gives you the like places you can sleep without, it's not somebody's property most of the time or anything like that. So that's kind of where the benefit came in. For Harvest Host, like the first year we used it, we drove across Canada, and that's kind of what we did. It was like Storm said, we work Monday to Friday. So our travel days have to be Friday night after work and then all day Saturday, all day Sunday if we're like traveling really far distances. And that's what we did when we had to head like very, very far distances. We would just drive 10, 11 hours a day and then show up to the Harvest Host. And yeah, like you just kind of want to park it and go to sleep. So it's like, it does add that awkward layer. But if you're doing this full time or you aren't doing a real job, I would like press people to do it because some of the experiences were so cool. Like that alpaca farm was awesome. We went to a meadery one time and we had like a showing of mead.
We didn't even know what mead was.
Yeah, we had no idea. It was just the only Harvest Host in the area, and we were like, we have to stay there. And like, it was the coolest time. Like you meet some really cool people on that app.
Yeah, if you have the time to actually talk to people, it's great. Honestly, like hearing other people's stories and seeing their like, usually it's like little farms and stuff. It's really neat.
Yeah.
Very nice. You said you got alpaca socks. I was down in Patagonia about a year and a half ago, maybe a year and 3 months ago, and I got guanaco gloves, which is basically a wild alpaca or llama type deal thing. I don't know exactly, but yeah, same idea, and they're fantastic. I love them.
Obviously, like we we just picked up hiking as a hobby like 4 years ago when we first went out to BC. So we had no idea what we were doing for hiking. And when we switched over to our alpaca socks for hiking, we were like, this is revolutionary. Why isn't everybody doing this? And then we realized people were, and just no one really talks about their socks. But it made such a big difference.
Yeah, huge game changer. Don't feel sweaty in them, which I don't understand. But then they also like they don't give you the blisters.
And blisters,
like
yes.
it's just they're magic.
They're great.
Nope. Yeah, merino wool is like another one, right? Same idea. It just I wear those. I mean, I get really hot feet, so I have to be careful. Like I buy the thin ones. Everyone like I'll wear them. I'll be backpack hunting and wearing thin socks. I'll be skiing wearing thin socks. So I don't have that really. I mean, I have the sweaty. Yeah, same idea. Sweaty feet. It's not great. But anyway, so you guys have been at this for pushing 2 years now, and you guys did the minimalistic lifestyle beforehand, jumping around Airbnbs and stuff like that. What advice would you give somebody who's on the fence of transitioning into full-time RVing? Because that's kind of a big step.
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say, like, give it, if you're really on the fence, like if you just cannot decide and you have like a list of pros or cons that are kind of holding you one way or the other, just give it a try. There are rental companies out there where you can like rent an RV for like a couple weeks or something like that. Rent an RV and just, you know, give it the honest try of like pretending that you live in that RV full time. Go through those. Don't do it as a vacation. Don't like go and cook s'mores over the fire and don't do any dishes for a week like you would when you're normal camping. Like go through the mundane garbage that you have to do, because that was the one thing like we this life was like, man, you can't go a day without doing dishes without there being no counter space left, because they just pile up. So like you got to do them, and it sucks. Like the sink isn't the same as a normal sink. So like kind of going through that stuff and realizing those are the struggles you're going to have, because Instagram is a highlight reel and it shows this life off as like luxurious. You know, you're waking up to this beautiful destination, like look out your window and you see the Tetons and like all that kind of stuff, which is great. But if you're living in it full time, that is not what it's going to be 12 hours a day when you're awake.
And you gotta know if you're okay with dealing with the black tank and like having to have an RV shower. Like if you think that you can live in an RV full time but you don't know what an RV shower is, then you're not far enough in to make a decision. Like
it's the elf thing, you know. I mean, I'm 6'2", so when I get in there, it's like I'm just like down here. I'm like, what am I gonna do with that?
Yeah,
trickling out, no pressure.
Yeah, there's a lot of like. It's definitely worth it. We have no regrets. We love it, but there are a lot of things that like we didn't know about, or like that we just don't enjoy about it in general. So I think it's just like renting one and actually doing it. Not as a vacation. Like we thought that we would be outside all the time cooking and like maybe we'll cook stuff over the fire. We've never cooked over the fire. I haven't even had a s'more in like a year, and it's like my favorite food. So like it's completely different than what you even think.
All right, next date night, Dalton, you better get some s'mores. Surprise! Here it is. Oh, that's awesome. So what about some common misconceptions that you've come about when, you guys have been at this for, like you said, about 2 years now. So what's like something that comes to mind? You said misconception earlier that it's cheap, right? It's not always cheap. It can be cheap. It's all about how you make it, right? But what other misconceptions have come to mind or come to fruition or whatever that you come to know since you've been on the road?
It's a tough one. like the biggest one I think is the money. Like it can be very cheap, it can be very expensive. It's all up to you.
I think maybe just realizing that you don't have like, I guess what you see online a lot is just about like what people are doing while they're in a nice destination and not about what they're doing when they're actually at the campground. Like campsites are really small and they often don't have any privacy, like especially at the RV resorts. So instead of only thinking about what you're doing when you're in a nice area, think about what it's going to be like while you're actually at a spot. Like if you have kids, are you okay with like having a bunch of kids? Or if you don't have kids and your neighbor does and they're really loud, like we've had a few neighbors where their dogs are barking all day, all night, their kids are screaming all day, all night, or like someone's playing really loud music, like you're just really close together. So it's just thinking about that, I guess. Like there's not really too many misconceptions that we've come across other than like just the money aspect of it, and then just it's not always just fun. Like
I think that you really have to realize that social media is a highlight reel, and this life has become so popular because of social media making it look really good. If you're going to be living in an RV full time, it is going to be what you make it. Mm-hmm. If your day to day is working a job, you have to like imagine yourself doing your job, what you're doing right now in your house, in a very, very small version of that house. Like that's what it's going to be. Sure, your weekends are going to be in a new location every time or something like that. But the misconception is that every day is going to be this beautiful, amazing day. And like you're going to open your door and it's going to be sunny and beautiful. And the Tetons are right there. And one big thing, I don't know if this is really a misconception, but one big thing that we never thought of was when it rains, it sucks in an RV. Our RV is so small, so if it's raining super loud or super hard, it's very loud in here. And it rained, we were in Oregon for a week, and it rained every day, all day, the entire time we were there. So by the end of the week, everything is wet. We have dogs, so you have to go outside. You bring all that water in. The floors were wet. The walls were wet. We were ordering dehumidifiers from Walmart to get delivered to our campsite because of how wet our trailer was. All of our clothes were wet. There was water dripping down the inside of our closets. Like it was so wet. So that was kind of like an eye opener of like, nobody talks about this stuff online. Nobody told us like, you better get yourself dehumidifiers because it's going to get damp in there. Like nothing about that. So you kind of have to go into it with like, I don't know, a little bit of spunk and like be able to deal with stuff like that because it's a big investment. It's not like we were going to like, this is the worst week ever. We need to sell the RV and go home. Like, you know, we're in for it.
Jeez. I've always wanted to go to Oregon because I've been to Oregon before. I live right next to it. I live in Boise. So it's like right 45 minutes away is Oregon, right? But there's the far western side, the coast. Like there's that, I guess like an hour and a half of like forestry, you know, that's just incredible. Like it was like driving through. You think the ferry's going to come flying across the window, you know, it's like all the moss and everything. It's just so green and like gloomy, but it's like still pretty in a weird way. It's mystical almost. But dealing with like constant rain would be pretty brutal.
Yeah, we had to do some hiking, or we wanted to do some hiking while we were there. So we did it in the rain. But yeah, it's like really green and lush. It's a great area. You just have to be prepared for it to rain a lot.
Yeah. It smells so fresh and it's odd. It's a different experience when you're in Oregon for sure. But you've mentioned a couple really cool spots. So you've talked about Oregon. You talked about the Grand Tetons. I'm guessing you said you went to Vancouver, so there's stuff over there as well. What are some of your favorite experiences on the road? You know, places, things, maybe unexpected benefits that you've received, whether yourself or both of you all together. What are some of those things?
Our favorite place, well, we have a few, but I guess I'll speak for myself. Big Sur in California is one of my favorites. It's so beautiful there. There's lots to do. But the thing about America is that it's not very dog friendly, which we weren't prepared for.
At least the national parks.
Big Sur was not dog friendly at all, and none of the national parks are dog friendly except for White Sands. But all the other ones are not dog friendly, so none of the hiking you can do with your dog. And
really,
yeah, and we don't like going on a hike and then having to come home and walk our dogs. So
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so like we didn't expect that. We didn't know that was a thing because in Canada, it's super dog friendly. Like it's unheard of in Canada to go for a hike and be told that you can't bring your dog because it's outside. So like we just weren't prepared for that. So it's a bit harder to like things in America, I find, because we can't fully experience them. But Big Sur still wins for that. The area is just beautiful. Lost Dutchman State Park in Arizona is a great one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then just Banff and Jasper in Canada. Like, it's hard to go wrong with Banff National Park. Jasper's another really great one. Yeah, like anywhere in the mountains, by a beach, by the ocean, is all good. What about you? What are your favorites?
Yeah, I would say the same. Like Banff is just absolutely gorgeous. Like we're going back there again, and that'll be our fourth time going there. So it's just like that whole area is stunning. California overall was a good time.
Yeah.
Like the weather is great basically anywhere you are. It was a little bit chilly when we were in the redwoods, like the northern part of California. But like we basically spent the whole time there like in great weather. So that was awesome. And it's very outdoorsy and welcoming out there. So like that's kind of nice. Mm-hmm. Big Bend in Texas was really, really cool. Lost Dutchman in Arizona, definitely a good one. I don't know. I think those would be our top. Oh, and North Cascades.
Oh, yeah. We spent some time in North Cascades. We need to go back to Washington because we were, like, just on the cusp of getting snow when we were there. But, yeah, North Cascades National Park is absolutely beautiful.
I've heard the North Cascades actually don't have a lot of traffic either. It's like one of the state or national parks that are just kind of, like, pretty like not visited. Don't know why. And I saw pictures of it recently. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and I guess it's just because it's a little bit more remote than like Rainier, but it's just as insane.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like, however, when we did go there, it was right after we crossed the border and we went to a hike, Chain Lakes.
Chain Lakes Loop,
Yeah, Chain Lakes Loop Trail.
It's a very popular one.
And we were the first ones there. We had crossed the border at the minute the border opened at like 7 a.m. or something. And we were at the trail like 20 minutes later. It was beautiful. We parked the truck and trailer all together, and we were planning on spending the night somewhere else. We got back from that trail, and it was packed. The parking lot was packed full, and we were blocked in.
People blocked us in illegally.
Yeah. So we were stuck there for like 2 hours just waiting for somebody to come back to like move their car. And eventually enough people came back to move their car that we could squeeze between two cars and like get through. Most stressful experience of my life. And this was only like 1 week into living in the RV.
Yeah.
Were there some kind words said to those people?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would have chewed some too. Oh gosh. Well, I'm excited. I'm happy for you guys that you guys get to go see that stuff. That stuff, that's big on my list. I was like in college, I was like, I want a Jeep and like a trailer and like go over and like do all these things. I've moved out to Idaho, which gets me a lot of that. I guess I get to scratch that itch because there's a lot of cool stuff around here as well. The Sawtooths aren't very far. Grand Tetons aren't very far. I haven't seen the Tetons yet, but that's, it's on the list. And then everything around here. I mean, there's all sorts of cool things. Just the West in general, you can't really go wrong. You go anywhere, you're going to find stuff. But yeah, super cool for you guys that are going to do that because, a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'll wait till I'm older and I can afford it more. Like, no, you won't wait. You won't do it then.
Exactly.
Do it now while you're young, while you're able. So commendable to you guys for that. But what are some gadgets and gizmos that are like, I need these things to RV properly?
That's an interesting one.
Well, definitely our scrub a wash bag because we can't do laundry without it.
Link it up.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we upgraded that was like we didn't ever plan to, but it's a cool one, is the keyless entry for the door. Like it's now a keypad on the door that unlocks it. That's really nice and handy, like coming in with a bunch of groceries and stuff. Like she doesn't have to wait for me to come with the key and unlock it. Like, that's definitely a nice one.
And we got locked out once with the original one, and we had to use a stick with a marshmallow roaster on the other side of the trailer to unlock the door when we got locked out.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, when we upgraded that, we were like, no, we're never going to get locked out, so that's nice. But, like, I think...
Is that battery powered, though?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's supposed to warn you if the battery gets low.
We haven't had it for long enough.
Whoa, shit.
A couple months.
I have, like, it gives you a physical key as well, and I have that hidden in the truck so that if it ever does die, we have that backup. But, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think, like, there's a lot of gadgets people say that you need, but you really don't. Like, we always say that we have the most basic campsite setup compared to everyone. Like, one of our favorite things when we arrive in a new campsite is to walk around and look at everybody else's setup. And ours is always like the bare minimum. Like, we don't even put our camp chairs out most of the time. Like, there's just, you don't really need a lot. Like, in terms of things that you actually need, like, you need wheel chocks and like the EMS system and a water filter. And, like, other than that, everything else is really just
extra.
Yeah, for fun. Like, not even fun. Like, we have a campsite mat, which sometimes we put out. Most of the time we don't even bother putting out. But, like, online said that we needed it, so we bought it. And, like, there's just so much. Like, I think that our biggest thing that we actually use that we've bought is our propane fire pit. And, like, we decided to buy that because we can only do our laundry in the scrub and wash bag. We don't like smelling like smoke, and then not like we have to wash our clothes immediately. And then a lot of places have campfire bans, so you can't even have a campfire most of the time, it feels like.
Yeah.
So, like, oh, if we have a propane fire pit, we can just have a fire whenever we want. We don't have to worry about it, like, dying down before we can go inside. We don't have to buy firewood, all of those things. It's just nice and easy. So,
yeah, we didn't understand that because in Canada, at least in Banff area, when there was a fire ban, it's a fire ban. Like, you can't do anything. Like, you can't have a propane fire, nothing.
Yeah.
So when we were in America, going down through, like, Washington and Oregon, we were having bonfires as often as we could. It's like, we love having bonfires. But then when we got into California, they had a fire ban on. And we were like, oh, that sucks. Like, whatever. But then we'd see people with fires, and we're like, hang on, like, there's a fire ban. How are you burning? And they're like, oh, yeah, you're allowed to burn propane. We're like, what?
Yeah.
So that's kind of, like, what led to
Game
that.
changer.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But we used to have, like, one outfit that we would wear to our fires and just put it in a plastic bag so that we didn't have to wash, like, more and more clothes that smelled like smoke. So it's like, yeah, I don't know.
have to do that. So, I mean, that's our only, like, fun gadget that we have, other than, like, we have I guess, like, for inside, there were some things that we didn't want to give up for saving space. So we have, like, a full espresso machine, and we have a KitchenAid mixer. So I guess, like,
that thing's heavy. It's a boat anchor. The KitchenAid mixers are heavy.
that was actually one of the repairs we had to make, because I put my KitchenAid mixer in a cupboard on travel day, and it broke the bottom of the cabinet. So I opened it to grab it, and the cabinet had broke.
Yeah.
Whoops.
It was too heavy for the cardboard that Grand Design gave us generously.
Yeah, it's like a 1/4-inch plywood, and it's held on with staples.
Yeah, when we had to repair it, we realized how poorly it was put together, and we were like, no wonder it broke. I can't believe it didn't break sooner. Thankfully, no KitchenAids were harmed.
Yeah. KitchenAid, killer.
Yeah.
They've been around forever, and they're made out of iron. Those things are damn heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, but they're super cool.
We weren't willing to compromise on. So we have, like, more fun things inside than we do outside, really.
But no real gadgets for RV stuff, eh?
Yeah, not really, I guess.
We're bougie when it comes to the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be bougie. It's I'm a kitchen nerd too, so I totally understand that. But all you have for the gadgets and gizmos are the necessities, really. But traveling with a KitchenAid, I think that's one of two people that I've heard. So very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, definitely. So what's your future plans? Where are you guys going? What are your goals? Do you plan on stopping anytime soon? Do you think you do this later in life, or would you go back to normal life, or then go back into RVing with a bigger trailer? What's your plans?
We change our mind constantly, honestly. So right now we're driving. We're in Florida. We were in Key West, which is the southernmost point, and we're going to the Arctic Circle in Canada. So, but we're really slow traveling there. I mean, we're stopping at a bunch of places. So we're not actually making it to the Arctic Circle until like
July, probably.
July or August. And then after that, we're really just deciding what we want to do. Like, we will probably continue our RV life, but we sometimes talk about getting a visa and going to a completely different country, like Spain or Portugal, Australia, like going there and doing maybe like a van life situation, or just like Airbnb or just regular over there.
Yeah.
We honestly flip back and forth constantly. I don't think we will get a bigger trailer just because we really like our trailer, and like the bigger trailer means we're just going to collect more stuff. So it's not really a need for it.
And I don't think we would choose the visa and like leaving and going to a different country because we're not enjoying the RV life. Like,
yeah,
I would happily continue doing the RV life here. It's really just the weather thing.
Yeah.
Like, we hate winter. RVs don't do well winter camping and winter driving around a lot.
Yeah.
So we like to come down to America, spend our winters down here as much as we can, or spend winters on the west coast of Canada where it's like we're just going to get rain. But I don't know if we would want to do it for a third year of like trying to be down here for, 6 months at a time. And maybe we'll do Baja. We've talked about that. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll just do California again or something like that. But I don't know. We go back and forth. And then we also have this idea of eventually buying a house in a place that we love visiting, Airbnb-ing that house out for like 6 months of the year while we do our traveling, and then living in it like during the summer months. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like a little bit longer term of a goal that we would have. But at this point, honestly, I don't even know if we could pick a place that we would want to do that and like more or less like semi-settle down, because
we would pick Banff, but it's just really expensive to live there.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing.
Like, right? If Banff wasn't crazy expensive, that's where we would pick, because we love it there so much. But it's hard to say because we just change our minds literally constantly. Like, earlier this week, we were like, maybe we'll go to Portugal, and then we were like, oh, but maybe we want to go to Mexico in our trailer. Like, it's all over the place, but we love RV life. Probably will continue for a while, especially because the trailer does cost money.
And it's the easiest way to travel with dogs.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big thing for us, is like getting our dogs over to Europe will be very difficult. Mm-hmm. So if we do that, it has to be worth it. Like, we have to figure out a way to get visas over there for like 2 or 3 years to make that trip worth it, because bringing the dogs back and forth just like isn't an option.
We don't want to do that, but for now, we'll probably continue RV life for a while.
Yeah,
at least a year.
At least 1 more year for sure.
Very nice. I don't know. I've seen people do I follow plenty of like van lifer types, right? The Europe, I follow those. I don't understand what they say half the time, but still interesting because they're like totally different looking RVs than we have, right? They're typically smaller, and like European people aren't much smaller than we are. Like we might be a touch taller on average than most of the European continent, but even so, everything is just because there's so many people on top of each other. Everything's just smaller. I did a full Euro trip. I don't know, 7 years ago, and everything. There was cars like that were this tall and like 6 foot long, and then I don't know how they do it, but that'd be super cool. And
it's just different everywhere you go. When we were in Australia last year, and we met another young couple, and we told them that we lived in our trailer, and like their minds were blown because they don't have big trucks and big trailers in Australia. Most people just drive like regular cars and stuff. So they were like, how big is that? That's massive. And we were like, if you think this is massive, if you ever come to America, like, your mind's gonna be blown.
A 22-foot trailer.
Everything's bigger.
Their reactions to that, like thinking our trailer is huge.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it's totally different. America's bigger, better, stronger, badder, whatever. You know, that's just the American dream, American way. You know how it is. But anyway, guys, this has been a wonderful conversation. It's cool meeting someone like close to my age that's doing this. You guys are going around chasing a dream that I would love to do. I'm just more of a, you know, if I'm not like, I've been a part of a team my whole life. Sports, athletics. So like me not being like really with a team and like all the time, it's a mental thing for me. It's an excuse because I could still go figure it out, you know, figure out the whole lifestyle on the road. And I travel a lot anyway, so I kind of scratch that itch. But what's your why? It's my favorite conversation or favorite question to ask. Kind of leave it for the end. Why do you do it? I know why you started because, you know, COVID was like, yeah, I can't go outside and walk my dogs. And that's the only way I can go outside. So you were like, okay, I'm going to start traveling because I already work remote. But like, why do you stay doing it? Why do you want to continue doing it? Just why?
I think like it's a mix of things. Like we absolutely love it. We're like addicted to traveling. And then I also think like it's kind of we want to inspire people to live outside of the norm, if that's what you want. Like, do what you want, don't do what society wants. You know, people get pressured into the typical buy a house, get married, have a kid, have a second kid, you know, get a second mortgage, like all that kind of stuff. And that was kind of not pressured onto us, but like we had those same societal pressures as well. And we just felt, you know, depressed. Like it was, we don't want that. That's not what we want. And I mean, the real estate market kind of fed into that of like the real estate market in Canada when we got to the point of our lives, we were like, hey, we should probably start buying a house, was brutal. So we were just watching everybody around us like try to buy a house and struggle and buy like a teeny tiny little house for $500,000. And you're like, that sounds awful. All that debt, nothing. So that kind of feeds into it. So I kind of think that we fell into this life based on a lot of those little timing things. But since we were able to like take that leap, we just love it. And like, we'd really love to just inspire people that if you don't feel fulfilled in like your day to day, then like take the leap and do something different. If you're not able to itch that scratch, like you said, scratch that itch, then like,
yeah, I think that like, for us, we feel like life is too short to stay in one place. Like there's way too many things to see, even in your own area. Like you live in Idaho and you probably haven't seen all of Idaho. Like tomorrow's not guaranteed. You should try to do it today while you can, if it's controllable, instead of waiting. Like a lot of people wait when they didn't have to.
And the biggest thing is like, for us, and we say this all the time, it's what you value, right? Like we value travel, we love travel. So for us, it's like there's never enough time to see the next place, to go to the next place, to hike that mountain that we want to see, to go to that beach we want to swim at. Like for us, it's travel. For someone else, it might be something different. Like it might be that you value friendship or family or spending time with the people around you. So just stop wasting time and do more of that. Like whatever it is, just chase it, because there isn't enough time.
You got to chase something.
Absolutely.
I had a buddy tell me that one time. I was like, wow. I was like just enlightened by those couple words. Oh, man, that's super cool, though.
Yeah.
What was that? Sorry, I was talking over you. What was that?
Some people just don't think of it like that. But like, it just takes one person to say it that way, and it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, definitely.
Mind boggled right there for sure. Well, guys, Storm, Dalton, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you guys had some work to do, and that's why we scheduled later in the day. I guess my time. What time is it there? So it's pushing. It's 6 o'clock.
No questions, I don't think. But thank you so much for having us. I didn't honestly know that there was a podcast talking about other people and stuff. So I definitely want to go through some of the other people you've spoken to and try to create a connection there and listen to what other people have to say, because I love to hear other people's perspective on RV life.
Yeah, definitely. I think this was an amazing opportunity, and thank you. And yeah, definitely want to get in touch with some of your community and and see what's out there. And I think this is an amazing platform, and really looking forward to where it's going.
Awesome, buddy. Well, guys, I really appreciate that. I don't get a whole lot of compliments, so that's one of them. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, I'll check it out. And we have several other people. There's check out Mac on the Road, MACK on the Road, because they're about your guys' age, and they do a lot of, they actually travel into winter. So they're kind of the opposite of you guys. Yeah, they're snowboarders. They literally, they wanted to go snowboard everything. So they got in the trailer and went. But similar idea. They didn't want to do the normal buy a house, second mortgage, whatever, the yada yada. So very cool. You'll enjoy them. I interviewed them about a month ago, so you can check that out. But everybody out there, I'm not the RV voice. People like Storm and Dalton are the RV voice. I'm just the guy that facilitates it all and asks all the questions. So if you want to get somebody on there and hear their story, please send them my way. I'd love to talk to them. And I just love meeting new people. So Storm and Dalton, again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Didn't get to see the puppies. What are the dogs' names?
So we have a long-haired German Shepherd. His name is Drogo from Game of Thrones. And we have a Corgi, and her name is Minnie, or Disney. Quite the opposite. In names and dog.
Yeah. I'm actually watching House of Dragons right now. I'm in mid-season 2. So
yeah, we got a little while ago. It's not quite as good as the first original series, but we want more, so we'll take it.
Perfect. Everybody out there, give these guys a follow. And it is what is it again? It is the Nomadic Sweethearts on YouTube, on Instagram, and I'm guessing Facebook as well, because you did mention that. Perfect. Storm and Dalton, they put out a lot of good content.